The Miami Heat are currently in the midst of one of the most challenging stretches in franchise history. After suffering a humiliating 118-102 defeat to the New York Knicks on Monday night, the Heat have now lost 8 games in a row, the longest losing streak of the Erik Spoelstra era, which dates back to 2008. This defeat marks the Heat's 4th consecutive blowout loss, and the team has now fallen 10 games below .500 for the first time since 2017. It's a dark time in South Beach, as the team struggles to find any semblance of consistency or momentum. The Heat's struggles are particularly concerning given the high expectations that were placed on them entering the season. Despite significant talent on the roster, including key players like Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro, Miami has repeatedly failed to put together a complete game, leading to multiple blown leads and frustrating losses. The Heat's offensive struggles were on full display in this latest defeat, as they failed to reach 100 points for the 3rd consecutive game, something they haven't done since 2018. In fact, the last time the Heat had a 3-game stretch of failing to score 100 points was during a much darker time for the franchise. In their game against the Knicks, the Heat's shooting woes were evident, especially from beyond the arc outside of Duncan Robinson, who managed to score 22 points. The Heat were a dismal 1 of 14 from three-point range. The rest of the starting lineup didn't fare much better. Adebayo posted just 12 points on as many shots, while Herro, who scored 20 points, couldn't provide enough of a spark to lift the team. Meanwhile, Jamie Jaquez Jr. and Haywood Highsmith combined for just 8 points, while shooting a poor 31% from the field. The lack of scoring production from key players continues to haunt the Heat as they struggle to put together a coherent offensive attack. As the game against the Knicks progressed, the Heat found themselves facing a familiar issue, failing to protect the lead. They had an early advantage and had built a 13-point lead at one point during the game, but the Knicks once again managed to claw back and ultimately take control. The Heat's inability to finish games has been a hallmark of their season, and Monday night was no exception. This marked the 18th time this season that Miami had blown a double-digit lead, and in all 3 matchups against the Knicks this season, Miami has relinquished leads of at least 13 points. The Knicks, on the other hand, displayed impressive resilience and dominated the Heat after a sluggish start. Despite missing their star point guard Jalen Brunson due to injury, the Knicks' offense was fueled by the hot shooting of Mikal Bridges and Karl-Anthony Towns. The duo combined for an impressive 51 points while shooting 64.5% from the field, with each of them hitting 3 three-pointers. Bridges, in particular, was on fire, showcasing his scoring ability and leadership. The Knicks were also lethal from beyond the arc, hitting 47.1% of their three-pointers, with Bridges, Towns, and Landry Shamet each contributing to the Knicks' long-range success. Adding to the Knicks' dominance was the all-around performance of Josh Hart, who notched his first triple-double of the season with 12 points, 13 rebounds, and 11 assists. Hart's playmaking ability was key to the Knicks' offensive flow, and his performance marked a milestone in the franchise's history. With 14 career triple-doubles, Hart now ranks 4th in Knicks history, surpassing the legendary Hall of Famer Walt Frazier's mark of 8. His contribution was critical in a game where the Knicks, despite their late-game fatigue, were able to capitalize on the Heat's mistakes and take control of the game. The Knicks' victory propelled them to a 43-24 record, solidifying their hold on 3rd place in the Eastern Conference, behind Cleveland and Boston, both of whom have already secured playoff spots. This win is a significant boost for New York, especially with Brunson's absence, as it shows the team's ability to overcome adversity and still perform at a high level. Meanwhile, the Heat find themselves in a precarious situation, sitting at 29-39 and struggling to stay afloat in the race for the final 2 play-in spots in the Eastern Conference. As of now, the Heat are just 1 game ahead of Chicago Bulls, and with the way they are playing, it's unclear whether they will even be able to hold on to that spot. The game was briefly interrupted in the 3rd quarter after comedian Tracy Morgan, who was sitting courtside, appeared to vomit near his seat, causing a delay of over 10 minutes. Despite the stoppage, the Knicks came out of break firing on all cylinders, outscoring the Heat 24-6 in the 3rd quarter to take an 88-64 lead heading into the final period. The Heat, on the other hand, were unable to respond after break, continuing their trend of poor second-half performances. The Heat now face a critical juncture in their season. With just a few weeks remaining in the regular season, they have little margin for error if they are to avoid missing the playoffs. On Wednesday, they will begin a 5-game homestand, starting with a matchup against the Detroit Pistons. For the Heat, every game is crucial, and they will need to find a way to turn things around before it's too late. There is still hope for Miami to make a late-season push, especially with the anticipated return of Jimmy Butler on March 25th. Butler's absence has been a major factor in the Heat's struggles, as the team has not been able to find a consistent rhythm without their star player. Butler's leadership and scoring ability are sorely missed, and his return could provide the spark the Heat need to salvage their season. However, the fact that Miami's struggles have continued even with the presence of key players like Adebayo and Harrow suggests that there are deeper issues within the team. Head coach Erik Spoelstra, widely regarded as one of the best coaches in the NBA, will have to find a way to motivate his team and adjust their approach if they are to have any chance of turning things around. For Spoelstra, this losing streak represents an unfortunate chapter in his storied tenure with the Heat. The franchise has had its fair share of highs and lows under his leadership, but this current stretch is undoubtedly one of the most challenging of his career. Spoelstra has always been known for his ability to get the most out of his players, but his task now is more difficult than ever. With the Heat mired in a losing streak and failing to execute in key moments, it will be a test of Spoelstra's coaching acumen to guide this team out of their current slump and back into playoff contention. As the Heat continue their fight for a play-in spot, their fans and management alike will be hoping for a turnaround that seems increasingly unlikely. But with a team that has shown flashes of potential throughout the season, anything is still possible. The return of Butler and the potential for a renewed sense of urgency could provide the Heat with the opportunity they need to get back on track. Whether or not they can capitalize on that opportunity will determine the rest of their season and their playoff hopes.